So one of the questions I get asked most often is, how is the market, or how is the real estate market? And I wanted to take a couple of minutes and really dive deep on that question. So what I'd really like to do is give you some of the headlines of what's been happening in our area that gives me confidence as a homeowner in Brevard County. And then also go over some of the statistics of what's been happening in the real estate market and what I think will continue to happen. And then I want to break it down into, what does it mean for you? Right? If you're buying a house soon or selling a house soon, what does this data mean and how can it shape your approach? So I'm going to be looking down occasionally. I've taken some notes and I want to make sure all the numbers are right. But a couple of the headlines that are really important is L3 Harris, which is headquartered in Melbourne on the Space Coast and one of the largest employers here, bought 2 companies last year, and the total amount that they spent was over $6 billion. Now that's great for our local economy because it's going to bring jobs here. It's also going to bring some traffic here, but it's going to bring jobs here. And it's going to help boost our economy when they spend that much money. And having that growth, it helps everybody here. Now, another important stat is that the Patrick Space Force Base and the people who work there have a $1.3 billion effect on our local economy. Something that's that strong of a backbone is going to help all of us as homeowners, as a community in general. Now, the other thing is that the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics named Brevard County, so Melbourne, Titusville, Palm Bay, as the second fastest growing tech sector in the entire country, which is great for us because that means high paying jobs. And again, that's great for our economy. So I want to transition into some of the statistics over what's been happening in the housing market in the last year. Now, year over year, so from this time last year to what it is now, we saw an 8% growth in the median sale price, which if you've been watching for the past 2 years might sound low because we've been seeing over 20%, which just was never sustainable. The long-term average over the last 60, 70 years is about 4% per year. And that accounts for recessions and dips and the huge rise up that we've seen over these past couple of years. 4% is kind of a healthy average. So we still had above that, which is great. The thing that is not inspiring, or the thing that there's some trouble with, is that this time last year compared to this time, now, is we've seen a 24% dip in the number of houses that have sold. Now, there's a couple reasons for this, right? We've seen an almost doubling of the interest rates. We've also seen, and because of that doubling of interest rates, buyer demand is going to be down. There were a lot of people that were moving because of opportunity, not out of necessity. And now most of the people that are moving are doing for the regular reasons, right? Death, divorce, disease, whatever it might be. There's a lot less people who have looked at this and said, you know what? At 3% interest rate, yeah, we would move our house. Up at 6%, they might just not. So that's been a hit. Is 24% decrease in sales has definitely been because of a lack of buyer demand. Now, the other thing that has changed is our median days on market has over doubled. This time last year, we had a median days on market of 13 days, and now it's 31. So, almost 2.5 times what it was. Now, there's some pros and there's some cons with that, and we'll go over that in a minute. The other big thing is that we're up to 2.3 months supply of inventory. So how they calculate that is how many houses are currently for sale divided by the average number of houses that are selling each month. And that's our months of inventory. We're at 2.3. This time last year, we were at 0.9. Now, a healthy market, if you Google a healthy market for months of inventory, you're gonna see 6 to 8 months. Now, the truth is in Brevard County, because we're a smaller town and because of the fact that we have so many high paying jobs and we're this close to the beach, for us, a healthy market where it's not a seller's market and it's not a buyer's market is gonna be about 4 to 6 months. So we're still on the low end of that, which means by definition, we're still in a seller's market. And that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for buyers. It also doesn't mean that your house is gonna sell in a day as a seller. That's just how they rate it. And so it's a seller's market, not as strong as it was last year. Now, I want to talk about home buyers first and then home sellers second. Because for the past couple of years, if you were a home buyer, it was probably a bit discouraging, right? You would go and see a house and you'd love it. And then you'd think, okay, let me take a day and then I'll write an offer tomorrow, make sure I like it, I'm gonna sleep on it. And it would be gone the next day. And that's how it was for about a year, right? And then it turned into, okay, I'm gonna take the night, I'm gonna sleep on it. And then the next day you'd write the offer and you'd be one of 7 or 8 offers. And that was just as exhausting. So I hope that these statistics encourage home buyers without thinking that, the sky is falling or you're gonna catch a falling knife. Because I've seen those things as I've opened up the news, and I don't think that does anybody much good. So one of the big pros is that a higher median days on market and coupled with more inventory gives you more choices, and there's less of a rush to get the house or else you're gonna lose it. And many people over the pandemic and over what's happened in this past market have settled on a house that they bought, right? Because that's what they could get. Now, the con is that over a fourth of the houses are still selling in 7 days or less, right? Even though the median days on market has risen, the houses that are priced correctly and that show well and are updated are still selling quickly. So we haven't gone from a market where you can't even take a night to sleep on it to, okay, we could wait a week. It's just eased off the pressure a little. And I would still say that we're in a market where if you find the house that you want, I'd recommend writing a strong offer. And strong can mean many different things, and it's too much to go into in this video because everybody's buying strategy is going to be different, and I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation with anyone about that. Although you have more room for negotiations. Even in my personal business, I've been able to get more people credits at further closing costs or get more money below the asking price. And it's been happening more often, and that it's higher credits, right? It's not just, okay, I can get everybody a $500 credit. Just last week, I had a closing where they got over $8,000 as a credit. And so I think it's really important to know that you have more negotiating power, although some houses are still selling very quickly. And there's a fine line between going for good negotiations and shooting yourself in the foot by starting too low or waiting too long. And I think that's an individual conversation, although I do just want to communicate that there is hope. Now, on the flip side, if you're thinking about selling your house, pricing is more important than ever, right? Because for a couple of years, many agents and many sellers, some of my sellers, in fact, could get away with the, let's just price it at X and let's see what happens. And, I never encouraged that strategy, and I won't lie by saying it did work a couple times. It worked occasionally, actually. And what the statistics are showing is that's not gonna happen anymore. Now, I pulled an interesting stat, or at least a stat that I found was interesting, is that the houses that were on the market for 7 days or less had an average sale to list ratio. Now, this is how much it sold for divided by what the list price was when it sold. Not the original list price, what it was when it sold. So any price reductions are already included in this. Under 7 days on the market, or 7 days or less, was a 99% sale to list ratio. Now, for houses that were on for more than 7 days, so anywhere from 8 days up to 180 days, however long it was, 8 days or more, had an average sale to list ratio of 96%. Now, if we just take the median price of $350,000, the difference between pricing it correctly on day one and not is over $10,000. Now, because over 90% of people have a mortgage on their house, a $10,000 difference in closing and what you get net in your pocket could be the difference between you netted 80,000 or say you netted 90,000, you netted 100,000. It could be a 10% difference, even though it's only a 3% difference on the sales price. And so more than ever, pricing is essential. And I hope that you're gonna have a conversation with yourself, with your spouse, with your agent, whether that's me or if it's somebody else, about, hey, what's our best strategy to actually make sure we're netting the most in the market of today? So that's kind of the overall picture of what's going on in the market. I did my best to keep this short, and I'm looking up and seeing that it's almost 11 minutes. So I hope I've answered all your questions. If you have any more questions, I'm always a phone call away. You can comment anything, and of course I'll respond. And I just want to give you clarity, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, or whether you just want to know what's happening as a homeowner in our county. I hope this was helpful. If there's anything you'd like me to add, I'm going to be doing this probably once a quarter, at least once a quarter, hopefully once a month. And I hope to inspire some confidence with you as a homeowner, or if you're going to be buying your first home, so that you know exactly what you're getting into. If you have any questions about real estate, or just if you have any questions about the market, anything at all, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to help. I've been Michael Heisemuddle. I work with Keller Williams Realty Brevard in Melbourne, Florida. I serve all of Brevard County, and I appreciate your time watching today.